procrastination isn't about laziness or willpower. It's something far deeper, an emotional threat loop in your brain. Have you ever sat down to work and suddenly felt an invisible wall rise between you and the task? Your mind starts whispering, "I'll do it later. Maybe after I feel better." Minutes turn into hours, hours into days, and you start believing you're just lazy or broken. But what if that story is wrong? In this video, we're going to answer 3 questions that almost everyone who struggles with procrastination has to themselves. Why do I keep avoiding things I actually want to do? What's really happening inside my brain when I feel that urge to delay? And most importantly, how can I break free when it hits? By the end, you'll know a 2-minute reset ritual, built on neuroscience and psychology, that interrupts this threat loop, calms the anxiety behind procrastination, and gets you moving, even when motivation feels impossible. Stay until the end so you can try it right now while you watch. Have you ever noticed how you talk to yourself when you avoid something? You sit down to work, look at the task, and quietly whisper, "I'm just lazy. If I had more willpower, I'd get this done." But long before modern psychology existed, some of the greatest thinkers in history were already warning us that the real battle isn't with the task itself. The real battle is with the meaning we attach to it. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about them." What he meant is simple: the task isn't the enemy. The story you tell yourself about the task is. Imagine you open an email and think, "If I answer this wrong, I'll look incompetent." In that instant, your brain labels the email as a threat. Suddenly, it feels safer to scroll on your phone, clean the kitchen, or do absolutely anything other than face that imagined danger. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the Roman Empire while writing about inner calm, reminded himself every day, "If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop lamenting." He wasn't telling himself to push harder with brute force. He was teaching himself to see things clearly. Most of the time, the task in front of us is not life or death. It is just uncomfortable. But when fear distorts our perception, it starts to feel overwhelming, as if failure could destroy who we are. Eastern philosophy says something very similar. Buddhism teaches that suffering comes not from the task itself, but from our resistance to it, from the way we fight against discomfort. That is why one of its simplest practices is to come back to the breath. When you feel fear or resistance, you breathe and watch it. You don't push it away or let it control you. The fear begins to soften. The task hasn't changed, but the feeling of threat loses its power. Think about an old saying, making a mountain out of a molehill. That is procrastination in action. We imagine what could go wrong, and the tiny challenge grows into a huge, terrifying mountain in our mind. Epictetus would say that the mountain exists only in our judgment. Marcus Aurelius would remind us that discomfort is not danger. And Buddhist teachers would tell us to breathe, to look at the fear instead of running from it. For thousands of years, wise people have been saying the same thing: we are not lazy. We are protecting ourselves from something we believe is dangerous. When you label a task as pain, shame, or failure, your brain reacts as if you were in danger right now and chooses safety instead of action. The first step to breaking free is not more motivation or willpower. It is to reinterpret what the task means and to calm the body so it no longer feels like a threat. And this is exactly where modern science picks up the story. In the next part, we will look at how neuroscience maps what these ancient traditions already intuited, and why changing your interpretation and calming your nervous system can unlock action in just 2 minutes. Modern science has a clear explanation for what the ancient philosophers sensed. When you face a task that feels threatening, maybe it could expose you to criticism, failure, or disappointment, your brain's amygdala switches on. The amygdala is part of your threat detection system. Its job is to keep you safe. When it believes something might hurt your sense of self, it triggers a wave of anxiety and urges you to escape. That escape can look like cleaning your desk, scrolling social media, or convincing yourself that you'll start later. Psychologists call this pattern emotion regulation through avoidance. In 2013, researchers Fuchsia Saira and Timothy Pychyl showed that procrastination isn't about laziness at all. It is a short-term mood fix. When a task makes you anxious, avoiding it relieves the discomfort for a moment. Your brain rewards that relief, and the cycle strengthens. Threat gives anxiety, gives avoid, gives quick relief, gives stronger threat next time. Inside the brain, this loop is visible. Functional MRI studies show that when people reframe a threatening task, a process called cognitive reappraisal, activity in the amygdala drops. At the same time, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that plans and makes decisions, becomes more active. You literally change the emotional weight of the task by changing the story you tell yourself about it. Another fascinating discovery comes from the world of placebos. For years, scientists thought placebos only worked if people believed they were taking real medicine. But recent trials have shown that even an open-label placebo, where you tell people this is a placebo, can still reduce anxiety and stress. The ritual itself, the act of doing something intentional and meaningful, signals safety to the brain. Your body responds by calming the threat system, even when you know it's just a ritual. Breathing is another powerful lever. Slow, structured breathing, like the 4-7-8 pattern where you inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7, and exhale for 8, increases heart rate variability, a marker of calm and flexibility in the nervous system. Studies show it can lower anxiety quickly, helping the brain feel safe enough to engage with the task again. Together, these findings explain why procrastination feels so emotional and so stubborn. It isn't a sign of weakness. It's your threat system trying to protect you. But that system can be influenced. When you reinterpret the task, create a small ritual, and use slow breathing, you give your brain a new signal. This is safe. I can start, and once you start, the loop breaks. In just a moment, we're going to put this science into practice. You'll try a simple 2-minute reset that uses all 3 of these discoveries, reframing, ritual, and breathing, to calm the anxiety that keeps you stuck and help you take the very first step. Now let's bring everything together. We started this video by breaking a powerful myth. Procrastination is not laziness, and it is not a lack of willpower. It is an emotional threat loop. When a task feels tied to possible failure, shame, or discomfort, the brain's threat system, the amygdala, sounds an alarm. Ancient philosophy already knew this. Epictetus taught that events themselves don't disturb us, our judgments do. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to endure what is simply uncomfortable and stop dramatizing. Buddhist teachers showed how returning to the breath loosens fear's grip. Modern science maps these same insights. Avoidance is short-term mood regulation. Reappraisal calms the amygdala, rituals, and even open-label placebos reduce anxiety, and slow breathing helps the nervous system feel safe enough to act. So what does this mean for you sitting in front of a task you keep delaying? It means you can intervene. You don't need to wait for motivation to arrive. You can send a signal to your brain right now that the danger is imagined and that action is safe. And you can do it in just 2 minutes. Imagine this. It's tomorrow morning. You open your laptop and feel that familiar tension, the quiet voice saying not yet. Maybe later. Instead of giving in, you remember what you learned here. You know that voice is not proof of laziness. It is a safety mechanism misfiring. You know you can reset it. You take 2 minutes. And then, with a calmer body and a reframed story, you start. One small action, no battle with willpower. Just forward movement. Over time, those 2 minutes stop feeling like a trick and start feeling like control. Here's the 2-minute reset ritual you can try right now as you watch. For the first minute, slow down and breathe. Inhale through your nose for a count of 4, hold gently for 7, and exhale through your mouth for 8. Repeat this pattern 3 times. As you breathe, picture the alarm in your brain turning down, like someone slowly lowering the volume on a siren. After about a minute of breathing, look at the task and quietly say to yourself, this is not danger. It is just uncomfortable, and discomfort cannot hurt me. Then take the smallest possible action. Open the document. Type the first sentence, click reply on the email. Do it immediately while your body is still calm. This simple sequence works because the slow breathing activates the body's calming system and lowers anxiety. The sentence you speak to yourself is a form of cognitive reappraisal. It changes the meaning of the task and quiets the amygdala. And the tiny action you take at the end proves to your brain that nothing bad happens when you start. The loop breaks because relief comes from movement, not avoidance. You can use this reset anytime procrastination appears, before studying, answering a difficult message, starting a project, or dealing with paperwork that scares you. Each time you do it, you teach your brain that action is safe. Over time, the threat loop weakens and the old belief that you are lazy loses its power. If you try this today and notice even a small shift, maybe your chest feels lighter. Maybe the task feels less threatening. Maybe you finally begin. That is success. The goal is not perfection. It is to prove to your nervous system that you can start even when fear says not yet. If this 2-minute reset helps you break free from procrastination, share your experience in the comments. Your story might help someone else escape the same loop. And if you want more science-backed tools to overcome procrastination, anxiety, and self-doubt, subscribe to this channel. Each video is built to help you rewire your brain with a blend of ancient wisdom and modern neuroscience, so you can stop delaying and start living with more calm, focus, and action.